Okay, I'd like to welcome you. My name is Deanna Morris. I'm the coordinator of this room, and Bobby has offered to be a co-coordinator with me, and we have all worked really well on taking this off from where Richard Hatley started this from 18 years ago, to give middle school coaches a chance to have something here instead of just all geared for high school. And as you saw, if you were here for Joe Frank's little session, he was very excited, very supportive of the middle school Monday room. And this room is sponsored by the North Carolina Coaching Association, but it's also sponsored by NC Shape. You might know it as NC AFERD. SM is what it was. And so the Athletic Association is one of the fingers of NC Shape, and you'll see CT walking around here. She's the president right here. She's the president of the North Carolina Athletic Association. And Bobby, are you president-elect this year? And then we have Patrick Vincent. I went there for a second. And he is the VP. So if you've not joined NC's, wave hey, there he is, Vincent then. Patrick Vincent. Okay, so if you've not joined NC Shape, it's not very expensive, but it does have a lot of benefits being a part of NC Shape. Bob Hill is our next presenter. We've been fortunate having him as a presenter. He's a veteran presenter. He's in the North Carolina Athletic Directors Association Hall of Fame. He is retired athletic director. He's also was a county athletic director for Orange County, correct? Orange County. And he's also been teaching for many years. I said 50 years teaching for the Leadership Training Institute. Of course, not 50 because I'd be telling his age. But with all ado, thank you, Bob, for coming up here and speaking. We're doing all you do with middle school Monday.
Okay, guys, I got a 4-hour workshop. You're gonna have to do it in about 25 minutes. Okay. Title of the workshop is growing your front porch. Okay, growing your athletic programs. Let me ask you a question. How many of you really know what athletic directing means and what coaching really means? Because we're in a time and space now where a lot of distractions are getting in to what we originally are supposed to do. Now, understand that athletic directing, athletics, all derive from physical education. Am I right, Richard? It all derives from physical education. And physical education was a program, was a study, was a pedagogy to work on your mental, your physical, and your social well-being in order for military readiness. Does that make sense? Yep. So how do we get from readiness to go to war to NIL? To helicopter parents, to all brand new Nike uniforms. Yeah. I want the best equipment here. I want a shooting thing. We've strayed a long way away. But here's where we can start it over again. So I want you guys to think, because as we move into these next couple of years, coaches and ADs on the middle school level, you've already said it, you're gonna have more on your plate, more responsibility, and it's gonna have less and less to do with athletics. So if you are a coach or an athletic director and you're putting all your time and energy into scheduling, into making sure Dragonfly is correct, making sure that you have all the uniforms and things that you need, making sure that you do your fundraisers so you can have some extra money to spend. If you're spending your time doing that, you're spending your time pretty much in vain. Now, I'm not saying those things are not important, because they are, but they fit into a category of things that are more important. And that's where we get to the front porch. When you're dealing with an athletic program, whether you are a coach or whether you are AD, you are actually running a business. How many people believe it? You're actually running a business. But you have a human side of the business, and then you have a rules, regulations, financial side of the business. But if you don't develop the human side of the business, you will have no other financial, you will have, because nobody's going to participate. I want you to draw all the way back and think about what you would have liked or what you had when you participated in athletics or any group. There's three things I want you to think about as we move through here pretty briefly. And if you want the 4 hour, there's a brochure out there that can get me to your school. Patience, discipline, and perseverance. As an AD and coach, you got to have those three. You got to master them. Now, that didn't say football, basketball, and lacrosse, or softball, volleyball, and track and field. It says patience, discipline, and perseverance. In order to be a successful business person or a successful administrator or a successful director, these components have to be there. Okay? Now, I call it, instead of calling them their names out, PDP. Patience, discipline, and perseverance. Okay? In interscholastic athletic programs around our nation, schools are like the front porch of our house. If you're driving down the street and you're looking for a house to buy or to rent, the first thing you see is the front porch. And if I'm selling my house and I got a raggedy front porch, my trees are not trimmed, my grass is not manicured, I got stuff all over my porch, more than likely you're going to do what? Drive right on. When people drive by your porch, it tells them whether or not they like the house. And sometimes you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. All Nation athletic programs, one of the first things people experience about your school, what does people hear about your school? What are they saying about your school? You know? But what's most importantly is what do people think that's going on in their school? Athletics plays a very important role in this conversation. Some of us now or have kids going to the schools that have the winningest program, or that has probably the most Facebook likes or Instagram hits. You know, everybody's going with the fad. How do I get people to look at my front porch? Okay? The front porch must always be maintained. Now, what does that mean as an athletic director, middle school athletic director? What does that mean as a coach? You got to make sure that you're investing in your program. Athletic directors, you can no longer sit back and just do the schedule, go do the fields. You have to be creative into investing into your program. What do I mean by that? Do any of you have any student-led leadership clubs or organizations in your middle school? Do you have game night in your athletic department? How do you reach out to your parents? Is your parent meetings full of just rules? Or is your parent meeting full of engagement? How do you encourage your coaches? Do you send encouragement quotes from Dean Smith or Mike Krzyzewski or Roy Williams? Or do you just, I'm glad to see you, your team's over there, practice starts at this time and ends at this time, the bus is over there, good luck. We got to start investing in our programs and in our kids. Yes, if you think middle school, the middle school AD job, and when I'm saying AD, I'm also talking about coaches, because you have to do the same thing with your teams. Okay? For example, you practicing volleyball coach. If all you do is practice skill, and never have a time to sit down and just pour into your athletes, your experiences, because athletics is not to win, it's to grow kids into prosperous young citizens, so when they get into adulthood, they can have a Rolodex of experiences that their coaches shared with them, so they won't go out there and the scales like this. This is the situation, this is the information that will help me deal with the situation, but it was so much there here because all you put in is, like Jim said, running, making sure I did the skill right, making sure we won. Guys, we got to stop focusing on the skill. It's going to come. No kid is going to learn the skill if they don't trust the coach. I know y'all heard the old saying is, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I know coaches, middle school coaches, high school coaches, they're so involved in practicing. You got 2 hours, high school got 2 hours with a kid. And studies show that we probably have 15, no more than 20 minutes of attention span. That's right. So what are you doing with the other? They have tuned out because it's the same old. Have an opportunity to talk to your kids. AD, there's nothing wrong with having a team meeting. Bring in all your teams for practice and talk to them about things. Talk to them about drugs. Talk to them about alcohol. Talk to them about social media. That will be a part of your practice because that's truly your job as an AD and as a coach. Your job is growing kids. That's how you maintain the best publicity you can get is from a kid that's coming out of your house. Because if a kid's coming out, I don't care how many outsiders see you got a beautiful house, that's a nice house, but only that kid can tell you what's in that house. And if they find a coach or an AD that's going above and beyond, this job says you have to go above and beyond. You can't be an athletic director or an athletic administrator or a good coach and do the status quo. You can't do it. or you gonna have a status quo program? And you can't get mad when kids leave and when parents start, getting on you. Because you gotta ask yourself, have I given it up? Have I laid it on the line? See, sometimes I think we get it twisted, coaches and AD. Who wants your kid in a game, that's really on the line? Who wants your kid to get out there, win or lose, but lay it on the line? How many of us say that? Be honest with yourself. You want your kid to get out there, or your athlete to get out there and lay it on the line. Whether we win or lose, we'll lay it on the line. Well, that's what your kids and their parents want you to do. They want you to get out there and lay it on the line. Open up some opportunities. Everybody in America knows that next to church, athletics is the biggest pastime in this country. Don't let that slip away. And don't let that slip out of your mind. Patience. These are how you work up. An athletic director / coach must practice patience. Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay? Your patience must extend to your coaches. You can't get mad at coaches and fire them in middle school because it may be another year before you get another coach. Teach them. Train them. Have patience. Working with people is a joy if your goal is to be a better program, is to build your program. If your goal ain't to build a bigger place, a nicer house, then you're gonna be miserable in that job. Whether it's coaching, whether it's AD, you're gonna be miserable in that job. You gotta have a joy, a passion to do the job that you're doing. Because now society is calling you to step up, even in middle school. If you can understand people will make mistakes and you won't get it right all the time, this allows for less frustration for you. Notice I said not for them, for you. Because I know a lot of coaches and a lot of ADs after 2 years burn out. And it's because they want everything right and not giving people time, okay? Plan what you want people to see. What do you want people to see with your program? How do you want people to view your program? Is it just an athletic program or is it a holistic program? What are you doing inside your program that makes kids want to be a part of your program? How are you doing it? Are you training kids to be scorekeepers? Are you training kids to help with volleyball? What are you doing outside of letting your sports run? What are you doing? What are you doing with your individual athletes? How are you keeping up with them? How are you encouraging them? How are you speaking into their lives? Because that's your job. Your job is not to win. It's not to sit at the AD's feet to ask them for brand new uniforms or brand new equipment. Your job is to pour into these young people. That's what your job is. See, that this process takes time to develop. You got to have a philosophy of patience. It takes time to develop. And the key word in this patience is compassion. You got to care for people. All people. Parents. I know parents get on your nerves, but look at it. Look at the baseline. They just want little Johnny and little Susie to have the best that they can. Their parents can't, most of them can't coach them. You coach them. And if they turn little Johnny and little Susie over to you, they're trusting you to speak into their lives. if you teach him and pour into them, when all hell breaks loose, they're going to be less likely to say, oh, that coach was bad, or that AD was mean. They're going to remember, well, you know, they sit down and talk to the whole team about social media. Or they sit down and talk to the whole team about what it is to be an adult and take responsibilities and accountability. They poured in to my athlete, or they poured into my son and my daughter. These are the things you're going to have to go back this year and rethink. And just remember, it's a process. It takes time. But you have to be willing to do it because it ain't easy. It's time consuming, but it's your job. Discipline. Discipline is the key of maintaining your front porch. Discipline helps you maintain what you are building, okay? You must develop routines, and goals. The first time you say, well, nobody's practicing, everybody's coming into the gym or auditorium, and we're going to talk about social media. Nobody's going to want to do that. But as a coach, as an AD, you are the decision maker. As George Bush would say, I'm the decider. Okay? You decide what you're going to do. Your philosophy has to govern the program. You're talking about issues that's affecting your school right now. There's drugs. There's social media. Social media is like the number one. Talking about NIL. Don't you think they talk about the NIL? I got a grandson that's getting ready to go into the 6th grade. Plays basketball. He ain't even in the 6th grade yet. He's 6th grade-ish or 5th grade-ish. Going to the 6th grade. He talking about NIL. I wonder how I can get an NIL. Well, if he's talking about it, guess what? Some of your middle schools are talking about it too. Give them the correct information. Take that time. And I guarantee you, AD, some of your coaches don't even know about the NIL. All the NIL does in middle school is add stress. That's all it does. They can't do anything about it. Because they ain't in a senior high school, it ain't like it's right there in their face. Can't do anything about it. So all it's doing is adding stress, adding pressure. Think about that. Think about that. Develop some routines that help you bring these people in. AD, coach, must communicate these routines to all involved, students and coaches. Once you do something over and over and over again, it's just like practice. Okay, it gives folks a sense of stability to your programs and something people can trust. Develop ways of doing things in your program, pass it down, and discipline is the maintenance of doing those things. Having formal routines ensures that front porch programs is viewed in the best light. Key word here, communication. Last, perseverance. You always teach your kids to persevere. Thirdly, perseverance is a way of keeping your program up to date by taking the long view. Because what I'm telling you now, you can't do it in a day. You got to sit back and think about how your philosophy to guide your kids, your coaches, your parents to a goal that's worthy and helpful to them in their growing process. Slowly implementing change to your program over time helps you keep your eye on the ball. Okay? Don't be like school systems. Every time a new thing comes by, you chunk that one and bring on something else. And then we got to learn this. And as soon as we learn it, guess what they do? Chunk in and bring in somebody else. You can't do kids like that. If you picked an offense, figure it out. Stay with it. Because an offense and a defense is only as good as the coaches you have to work with. I ain't never seen an offense or a defense that didn't work. I only see coaches that put people in the place that can work it. Think about it. All right? Being able to see long-term goals will help you stay the course. Keep educating yourself. Keep coming to these things. Yeah, sometimes it may get boring, sometimes it may get a little taxing, but thing about it is, don't have this and let something happen. Don't come to one of these and get a certificate and